Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant. Today we are at the second part of our calculation training, and through this lesson, as we have been discussing, we try to use the techniques of calculation. So far we have discussed 5 techniques of calculation. See all the pieces, count attacks and supports, see the relationship between the pieces, find the weakness, and then find 3 moves using check, capture, attack. So we are going to continue with these steps, and we will see some additional steps also. I will try to make the positions bit more difficult than the previous ones. Let's get started with the first position here. See, this is the position with white to play. We can easily see white has 3 main attackers, the bishop on d3, bishop on c1, the queen on g6. When we look at the pieces, instantly we should try to see their activity. Also, we should try to count the material instantly. With practice, it happens faster and faster. So here see, white had some very obvious candidate moves, like see queen h7 check. We can see that the square h6 is weak. The bishop on c1 is eyeing the h6 square. So the e3 rook needs to move. So the 3 candidate moves that we can have is c1, queen h7 check, second rook g3, and to extent we can consider the move rook f3 as well, because it will open the bishop on c1. See, most people want to go with the move queen h7. Some students have even suggested that after queen h7, see king f8, and now see there comes rook f3 check, which looks very strong, because the point is that after g takes f3, white has the very strong bh6. So here we see various mating patterns emerging. Let's say if black supports the bishop with queen e7, then there is a forced mate after qh8, kf7, qg7 mate. So bishop h6 forced, and after this see there is queen h6 check, and we see the bishop and queen's mating pattern, typical one. If king f7, we have bg6 check, kg8, queen h7, king f8, and queen f7 mates. And after kg8, we have the typical pattern with bishop h7 check. Here too there are 2 ways. After king f7, we have qg6, king f8, qg8, ke7, qg7 mate, or the move bg6 check, which would transpose to the previous line. And after the move, see king h8 here, there is bg6, king g8, queen check, kf8, and again queen f7 mate. See, all this sounds very good, and well, white would have played this. But in the game, white chooses to look at the other 2 moves, and he realizes that instead of doing rook f3 on the second move, what if he plays the move rook f3 instantly? This is how stronger players, they try to shuffle the order of moves, so the second move can come first. And see, after rook f3, it turns out that it is even more superior. The point being, now after gf bh6, black cannot take bh6, so there are only 2 lines, rook e7 and queen e7. And much of the calculation what we did in bh6 was not at all required. Now see, after queen e7, there is the queen h7 check, king f8, queen h8 check, kf7, and qg7 mates. The somewhat better rook e7 just prolongs the game by a move. Now see qh7, king f8, queen check, kf7, qg7. Black has the move ke8, but still queen f8 and g8 both were checkmates. So white won the game with rook f3. Let's go to the second position now. This is the second position with white to play once again, and we see that white has 4 attackers straight away near the black king. They are attacking. See, knight can head to f6. The d3 bishop is eyeing the h7 square. Both the queen and the rook can be transferred from the third rank to h3, and the rook can join on g3. This one is a bit simpler, I would say. White has very few candidates. See, one is an f6 check. Instantly we want to force things. Force the opening of g5, and the rook on c3, hardly we want to defend that. There are some other moves like ng5, and maybe there is the move queen h3 threatening knight f6, but of course it would allow something like f5. So white immediately looked into the line knight f6. This one is not difficult if we know how to sack the pieces systematically, and if we don't hesitate to sacrifice. So after knight f6, the only move is gf, otherwise queen is lost. And after gf3 comes not queen h3 or g3, but the way stronger bh7 check. See, after queen g3 check, king h8, queen h3, there is the move f5 when white has to work with the move nf5 and the game will be prolonged. But after bh7 check, see, things are decided pretty quickly. Now see only three options, kg7, kh7 and king h8. After see k h7, it's very simple, queen check, kg6 and see rook g3 mates. After the move king g7 too, there is qg3 check forcing the king inside, king h8 and now see qh4, bit better than qh3 and now see the threat is to just remove the bishop. So no time for bishop c3 because bishop moves kg7, queen h7 mates. We must look at c8 here and there is see rook c8, then the king wants to escape from f8 after bg6, kg7, queen h7, king f8. But white has rook g3, very strong and effective. Whatever is done, next bishop moves and it will be mate. Finally, after the move f5 here, again there are a couple of ways. One is the simple queen f6 and other was the one we discussed before, bf5 followed by rook g3. See, queen f6 check, this is just to show you the pattern. kh7 forced, rook h3 check, kg8 and see three mates here, rook h8, queen h8 or qg5. So the main move happens to be king h8 and after king h8 to once again queen h3. This time there are some additional options but nothing works. One is the move see e5 attacking the queen, but see just bf5 check, kg7, rook g3 or qh7 mates. After the only other option f5, the king now seems to have the f6 square, but it doesn't matter. White either can go see bf5 check, allowing what black wants, kg7, rook check, king f6. All he has to do is find the move qh4. The king's exit from e7 is blocked. Or else there was the direct rook g3, which again threatens to do a discovered check with the bishop. So after f6, bishop f5, queen h7, queen takes h7 mates. Let's go to the last position now. So here we have the last position. Again white to play. This one is bit tricky, but it's not very deep. But we have to look at variations properly and understand what's going on. If you look at the position, you will see material is very less here and black king we can see is very unsafe, right? So white is trying to force things. Only one candidate who corrects the king has see only one place on h8. So white wants to force with the move h6 and push the king to h8, and all one has to do is wait in that position. See, the main skill, as I have been telling again and again, after h6 king h8 we have to wait in this position and understand what's going on. See, let's apply the concept of weakness and the relationship over here. We see that the queen on e7 is see highly overloaded because see it guards the f8, f7 and the e4 bishop, and this is where white exploits this with the fantastic move see bishop e6. The queen was the defender. To the defender we can do destroy, deflect, win or interfere, and here white uses the interference and all the variations are losing. Perhaps best is to give up the bishop. We will discuss all of them. Let's see. If queen takes e6 first, this is the most critical one, but see queen f8 check, qg8, qf6. And after king g7 we just take it and checkmate. After d5 trying to protect the bishop, there is just see queen e5, qg7, qg7 mate. After the move bb7 trying to protect the bishop, there comes qd4 check. See, this was the main idea. The bishop was also controlling the queen's access to d4, and now see after qg7 once again hg or qg7 mates. So finally we have the only try c5, but here white simply captures the bishop on e4 and also threatens queen a8 checkmate. So if queen f8 here trying to attack h6 and cover a8, white has the very simple and effective queen f3. See, many people hesitate to exchange pieces. They want to play for mate only. But that's not the safe way all the time. See, it's far superior to force the trade or threaten one more thing along with it. So we have two plans here. One is either trade the queen, then black is simply lost. And if queen takes h6, white saw that not queen a8 because G7, Kf6 is there, but the move queen f6 check, forcing q g7 and see the pattern after q d8, q f8, q f8 checkmates. So this lesson I tried to explain a bit less and just focus on using the techniques what we have learnt. Do let me know whether you found these positions difficult than the previous one in the comments below. Thanks for your time.